I'm Andrew Duncan, the Duncan Duo team at LPT Realty. I am excited because our team is really starting to ramp up production. We hit 50 pending home sales, which was the first time since we had the storms that we've kind of gotten back up to that number. So we're starting to see demand come back. We're starting to see some improvements. We've had some pretty high price sales. We just had a home that we had listed for 2.9 that just sold last week. And we've got another one for a little short of 2 million. Some other activity and some other higher price points. Picked up a new construction builder that we're working with that assigned 10 listings to us, and ultimately are starting to do a lot more new construction business. I think that's obviously pretty common in the marketplace right now because the new construction builders can partner with lenders and do kind of bulk in advance buy downs of interest rates to make it more, affordable for home buyers. So new construction is definitely something we're seeing a lot of activity in. But I'm excited about the energy in the market. A lot of things happening in Washington that I think will start to trickle to some positive effects of our real estate market. We've already started to see some of the storm activity come back, some of the pre-storm demand that we were seeing. The storms really obviously, shuttered our markets, and we're starting to see some improvements. And I think all of that is heading in a really good direction for our market as a whole, not just in the luxury space, which you heard me talk about a couple of those, but we've got, gobs and gobs of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 houses on the market, coming on the market and going under contract. So the activity is definitely picking up, which I think is a really great sign. And if you're someone that's paying attention to real estate, you're curious about your value, you want to know what's going on, you can hit up DuncanDuo.com. We have an online valuation tool that blends the data for multiple different websites, puts it in a graph chart, lets you see what's going on in your neighborhood. Definitely very interactive, where you can kind of work with it a little bit to add features for your home. And so if you want to know what's going on in your specific neighborhood, you can go to DuncanDuo.com and type in your address. And my expectation about our real estate market this year, my producer James just came in and was asking me like, hey, what do you think is going to happen? And I think we're going to have a lot more transactions this year. I think prices are going to rise, but they're going to rise pretty incrementally. And we're going to see a lot more of that probably in the second and third quarter, start to pick up and see some price gains. We're starting to get through some of the storm activity. A lot of those flooded homes have sold and are either being rebuilt or torn down. Some of the rebuilt homes have already come on the market. Teardowns, those are going to be new construction. It'll be kind of a year down the line for most of those to show up. But nonetheless, we're starting to see some activity come back. And like I said, I believe that we will see more transactions this year, assuming no major storms. That obviously is the wild card that we have in the third and fourth quarter. Assuming we see no major storms or other, national economic, events or natural disasters, I believe that we will see a substantial increase in sales this year. Prices will start to improve in the second half of the year, and preparing us for next year and the year following, where we might be back to seeing some peak real estate numbers. Again, depending on what happens with interest rates, depending on what happens with inflation, those are all things that have a lot of activity around them that we're dependent on. But nonetheless, I think interest rates are going to kind of be where they're at this year. One thing that I will tell people that I think is smart money right now is buying real estate and buying homes. And the reason why I say that is because when we've seen some price drops, we've seen some depreciation, we've seen neighborhoods 5-10% drops in value. Nothing drastic, nothing Great Recession like or foreclosure era like. It's just some moderate drops in values, and some of that's going to come back. But it's a good time to buy because of that opportunity to get a little bit better deal in some neighborhoods. And the rationale behind it is the record-breaking appreciation that we see. We date back a few years during COVID and post-COVID when we had interest rates in the threes. We saw home values in Tampa Bay appreciate in some areas over 30% annually. That's a pretty good return on investment. Pretty hard to beat, not super sustainable. We know that when rates drop, we'll see appreciation again. Now, will we see rates in the 2s and 3s again? Probably hard to believe that. Will we see 30+% appreciation? Also, probably hard to believe that. That was an anomaly, maybe a once in a lifetime fantasy land event. However, could we see interest rates in the 4s and 5s? And could we see 15-18% appreciation? Yes, I think completely realistic a couple of years down the line, as long as, again, as everything keeps pointing in the right direction and we avoid major natural disasters. So speaking of major natural disasters, we're almost to March. and not that far off from hurricane season. All right. It's been a few months since we had them. If you're someone that doesn't have flood insurance, please look into getting it. A lot of people I'm still getting calls from clients that got just crushed by not having flood insurance and having homes flooded. So now is the time to take advantage of that. Don't wait until storm season gets here and then have a storm out on the horizon and try to buy flood insurance. Get it now. So back to predictions for the market. Again, some slight appreciation, probably a little bit better next year and more transactions. And we are already seeing that on my team. I feel like the new presidential administration, some of the campaign promises that they're fulfilling, some of the actions that they're taking, certainly polarizing, certainly controversial for some, but a lot of those things were things that President Trump campaigned on and said he was going to do. And I think there are a lot of those things that he is doing that are going to be good for the real estate market and good for interest rates and inflation, as long as we continue down that path of, reducing government waste, reducing government expense, improving the tax situation, and of course, improvements in the economy and the market will lead to more people buying, more people moving, that sort of thing. So that's my prediction. That's my take on what I happen to see. But if you want to know specifically what's happening with your house in your neighborhood, go to DuncanDuo.com. And that's really important because I can sit here and talk generally about the market, and that's going broadcast around all product types and a really broad geographic area. But there are some neighborhoods that will outperform that, and there are some neighborhoods that will underperform that. For example, the waterfront market probably going to be a little bit rough for a while. You have so much waterfront damaged homes that are pulling values down. You're more likely to have had flood damage near the water, which means more likely that some of those could turn into distressed properties and distressed sales. Eventually, the long-term proposition of waterfront is probably higher values. In the short term, probably lower. And, I had somebody call me and kind of ask me their opinion about what was going on in their particular neighborhood. And of course, I said, go to our website. You can stay up to date. Go to DuncanDuo.com. You can stay up to date on what's going on. But in general, what we're going to see happen with a lot of our waterfront is this short-term value drop because so many of these flooded homes either were cash. I think I saw recently where, some parts of Tampa Bay have almost 40% of the homes that don't have a mortgage. If there's no mortgage, there's no requirement for flood insurance. And there's certainly a lot of people that didn't opt for flood insurance. So anyway, some of those homes turned into fire sales, lower prices, pulling the comps down. The homes that maybe didn't get damaged get pulled down by the ones that did, because sometimes an appraiser here and there or a county assessor's office here and there doesn't realize a house sale that was a flooded sale gets looked at as a retail sale. And then just in general, the kind of stigma attached to some of those areas where you still have a lot of homes unoccupied, they're getting torn down, they're getting renovated. It's just the waterfront market's going to take a little bit of time to come back. So the reason why I say long-term, it's probably a really, really good thing. We can go to history and we can look at parts of the country that got flooded and what happened afterwards. And what happens afterwards is FEMA comes in and the insurance companies come in and they want homes to be elevated or raised, or you can't rebuild. They won't give you a permit. They won't let you go past the 50% rule, which requires a structure to not be more improved than 50% of the structure's value. So when you have that happen, a lot of those homes get torn down and new luxury higher end homes get put in their place. Davis Islands is an example of this that has happened naturally, not because of storms, but because so many people, their land value became more valuable than than the structure value, and the demand for people wanting to live there was so high that there were plenty of people who had homes that were, the structures themselves pretty much valueless because of what the land was worth. So more of that is going to happen in some of our waterfront neighborhoods throughout Tampa. And you're going to see this dramatic change in terms of these neighborhoods that have really small houses, and big homes are going to go in their place. Big new homes, they're going to sell for higher dollars. That the homes that were built maybe in 18 or 19 that are also elevated are going to get pulled up. So in a lot of neighborhoods, the homes that didn't get flooded or that are able to be improved, values are going to improve because you're going to have more higher end homes built in those neighborhoods. So the long term for waterfront is actually positive. The short term is negative. But again, you want to know about your house specifically, go to DuncanDuo.com. Just type in your address, super easy form to fill out. It can pop up while you're driving. Don't do it while you're driving, maybe at a stoplight or stop sign or pull over. It's super easy, DuncanDuo.com. Plug in your address. It's going to give you a dashboard. It's going to give you multiple different value sets for your home, multiple different companies, and you'll even have the ability within the dashboard, whenever you want, to request a cash offer or to request an appointment with our team to go over it more in depth with you. So super interactive. I think the reason why I did it, there are companies out there online that obviously you can go and get a value estimate, but they're using their data. The one that we use is using multiple places of data, multiple sources. You'll see 3 or 4 different data sources depending on the neighborhood or part of the country you're in. And look, this can apply, this can be used, any property anywhere. This isn't just a Tampa Bay thing. If you own a property in Detroit, if you own a property in LA, wherever your property is, our website will be able to show you the value for it. So if you own vacation homes somewhere, again, just go to duncanduo.com, type in the address, and it will help you understand what's going on in your neighborhood. And it'll keep you updated. It'll keep you posted on what's selling, what's not selling, what the values are, what those homes sold at, all that information and so much more.